We live in a time where independence is preached as the norm and community is typically sold back to us as a premium when life was actually meant to be lived the other way. Dear lonely one who is doing nothing to change that, this is for you.
It's 14 hours until people ring the doorbell and the house is not clean. I have not marinated the chicken and all I want to do is sleep. Community building takes sacrifice, man. Meanwhile, I don't even have Scotch bonnets. We now have 5 hours to go and feeling a lot more confident. Shout out to prayer, because I prayed for the Lord to help me and he really is.
Clap for Jesus. Clap for Jesus. Clap for Jesus. If not be Jesus Christ, where they won't belong? I wonder.
I was like, am I really doing this? Not because it's hard.
What, like it's hard?
But more so because I was feeling a bit tired and I didn't have motivation to clean or cook, but...
Get back in the kitchen!
Cleaning is like 70% done, and then I'm gonna get to the cooking, and then I'm gonna shower, and we're gonna have a good time in the presence of the Lord. Amen. Help me, Jesus. Okay. Some people have asked me before how I make and keep friends and how I got good at it. But when you're the only one in your family living in a continent, sometimes I'm the only one in the city, the country, but this time the whole continent, you're gonna adjust. And none of the friends I made in the first decades of my life live in this state either. So having to schedule calls to speak to my family, my friends, just because of a 9-hour difference, it became a lot. I'm not gonna say that I was lonely when I first got to America, but when the sun set and everyone that would actually check in on me was asleep, I felt quite aware of how I really didn't have a community yet. And to be lonely means to be sad because you don't have company. For the longest time when I moved, I did have the company, but I was still sad, if that makes sense. And I only really have myself to blame because I didn't let anyone in. Why didn't I let anyone in? Because as someone who has had to say goodbye a lot in life, it's so much easier to do when there's no actual attachment to people. But that's not the model for life that anyone, especially a believer, should follow. So I repented. And now I'm doing the hard things. I'm saying yes to going out, I'm inviting people into my home, and I'm doing my best to physically position myself in a way that I can make organic, vulnerable, and intimate friendships. What do I mean by that? So many of us, like me in my first years here, have been surrounded by people every day. But if you had to name one person who knew every single version of you and still loved you regardless, many of us would struggle, not because we're unlovable, but because we are afraid to reveal every single version of ourselves to one person. In this day and age, we don't like letting people into our hearts because we prefer making quick surface connections at a book club or a tennis class or a networking event, but we don't like doing what it actually takes to maintain a friendship or making the sacrifices it takes to improve it. Hard conversations, giving up your time, having to drive somewhere you really don't want to be. Ciao. It's not easy, but it's worth it. One thing I will say is that we need friends, we need community. As we know, God said it was not good for man to be alone. It's still not good for man to be alone. And though virtual communities are amazing, I'm in one of the best ones ever at We Are The Oasis. They're here on YouTube and on Instagram, so go follow them if you're not already. But there is so much to gain from a physical in-person community that the Oasis just can't offer me while it's virtual for me. Of course, they have in-person gatherings in Nigeria and in London,
but I'm all the way in Los Angeles and there's no one in the Oasis here yet. So I need in-person community. That's why I decided to invite people from my uni, people from my church, people that I just met at community events as well, into my home. Not randoms, of course. People I clicked with, people I've been speaking to for over a year. And yeah, that's just my advice to you. Attend events that you're interested in, because that is one way that you'll know for sure you have one interest in common with the people there. Another way to make friends is to compliment people and then start the conversation from there. To continue that friendship and go deeper than the surface, you need to be willing to give up time, comfort, ego, and sometimes money to create space for someone else in your heart. Above all else, if you really want your social life and your friendship health to change, tell God about it. Ask Him for advice that's tailored to your life, and then give Him a year. 1 full year. I guarantee you will see a difference. Thank you for watching, and as always, leave a comment below and I'll see you in the next one. Love you. Bye.